All right, everyone. Welcome to Let's Cross Together podcast with yours truly, the mental health pastor, Fernando Cottrell. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today, we're on live this Saturday morning. Once again, I'm delighted to have a special guest, Dr. Candace Thomas. She's joining us today, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to share about a little bit about her before we get into the podcast. But thank you once again. We're talking about better living. Better living is possible. And so we all want change. We all want to experience transformation. We all want some type of difference in our lives. But, sometimes we fail to cooperate with the process and cooperate with the things that really can create a better situation in our lives. So here on Let's Cross Together, our focus is the ministry of mental health. And so today we're going to be just talking about better living is possible. And hopefully we'll be able to dismantle some mental health barriers and we can experience that better living that is possible. So thank you for tuning in. Share this video. Let others know we're on today. So now let me get to the good part of it. I'm here with Dr. Candace Thomas, and she is the CEO and founder of Better Life Chiropractic. She's also my chiropractor. She's been a blessing to me. She keeps me on my toes as far as drinking water, making sure I'm sitting right, making sure my posture is right, making sure I don't have my wallet in my pocket, which created most likely it did create my bad sciatica nerve situation that I had that's the most excruciating thing. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I want to introduce her. Dr. Thomas, it's good to have you on. Thank you for consenting to be on. I know you got a busy schedule, but thank you so much. So I'm going to give you an opportunity just to share a little bit of yourself. And we're going to get right into better living is possible. So the floor is yours.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. This is what I do. This is what I can't imagine doing anything else. So it's easy for me to talk about it. It's fantastic. So I'm ready. All
right. So I want to kind of start off with, and then I'm going to talk about my story on how we met. But why chiropractic care? Like, what inspired you to really get into chiropractic care? Like, what led to that? Because that's I don't think anybody has a lot of chiropractor professional friends. So you're kind of like one, maybe rare of a lot of situations. So what made you just say, you know what, this is my direction?
That is very true. So for me, I was ODU alumni. Go Monarchs. So I went to ODU. I was a biology major in the pre-med.
Oh, wow.
And so my minor was chemistry. So in that, we're all set up to go to medical school anyway. This is what you came for. This is what you're going to do. When you get to the end of your degree, that's where you really decide, okay, so like which area do I want to go? What do I want to do? And so I learned that medicine is necessary for some things, but a lot of things it is not necessary. It doesn't fix things, a lot of things. So I was very interested in, there's got to be, something else to do. And backing up a little bit, growing up, my mom, she always used to complain of back pain. She was complaining of her back. And so, that's something as a child, you pick up on that after a while. So she would go to, this doctor, that doctor. They would provide prescriptions and such. And it may take off the edge, but once the medication wears off, you're right back where you started. And so at the end of my pre-med degree at ODU, I'm dating myself. So this is back when there were phone books, the yellow pages. You remember the thick old...
Wow, that was before my time.
Yeah. So um, there was the yellow pages. So I got it, one of those, and I was just flipping through it, and there was a section in alternative medicine. And so I was interested, like, okay, well, what's the alternative? Because we don't really hear about that. Even growing up as a child, I remember there was a commercial. I think it was an aspirin commercial. It was like, how do you spell relief? And the little kids spell like aspirin or something. So we're not educated on alternatives to medicine. So I was interested in that. So I'm flipping through the yellow pages looking for, what else is out there. And I'm calling around. So I'm 17, right? And I'm
Wow.
calling around, and well, no, I wasn't 17 at this point because I was about to finish. But anyway, so calling around to different alternative medicine places in the area, and most of them, they didn't have time for me. Some kid called and they're like, "Yeah, okay, you're not setting an appointment. We'll talk to you later," type of deal. But I was able to get in touch with a man who was a chiropractor. At the time, I didn't know what that was. I don't even think I know what he was. I just knew he was listed as an alternative medicine practitioner. So I wanted to talk to him. And he was the only person out of all the people that I called who wanted to talk to me. And so I was like, okay. So I was just asking questions. And he seemed very, very nice. And so I wanted to know more. So he invited me to his office. And I just kind of hung around just to see, what's going on over here. And that led into me just like volunteering to do stuff. I was like, want me to take out the trash? Want me to do this? Want me to do
Mm.
that? Because it was just so nice. It was so completely different from the healthcare model that I knew, going to the doctor's office, you're sick, you don't want to be there, you get medicine, you leave. It was just so refreshing. And so that turned into like a paid position. He was like,
Oh,
you're doing a lot around here. You want to get paid? And I was like, sure. So kind of an internship turned into a job when I was working, when I was at ODU. And he was a chiropractor and he explained chiropractic to me. And it just made so much sense. And I
mm,
was like, why isn't everybody doing this?
mm.
And so when he explained it to me, I just got it. And so at that point, I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. I'm
Wow.
going to do exactly what you did. I'm gonna go exactly to the school you went to. I'm going to do what you did. And
Wow.
that's
Wow.
exactly what I did. And turns out he was actually the president of the Chiropractic Association in Virginia. I didn't know that. He was a big deal at the time. And I didn't even know that until years later. I was like, wait a minute, is this you? And he was like,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And I still see him. Every year we have our
Wow.
continuing education thing that we go to keep our license and all that stuff. And so I run into him and I see him, I have his phone number. We chat from time to time. So he really just sealed the deal. He really just sealed the deal. And I saw so many people getting help without pills, without surgery. And I was like, you know what? Yep, this is it. This is it. So that's what led me to chiropractic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. And he's still, y'all still in contact. Does he know that the level of impact?
He does because I tell him every time I talk to him, I was like, you have no idea. You have no idea. You have no idea.
Mm, man, that's powerful. I love stories like that. And so you finished school, and now you are a business owner, uh,
Yes.
and successful business owner of Better Life Chiropractic Care or Chiropractic.
Thank you.
Um, so what led you to? I mean, so does all chiropractors? It seemed like they get into their own bit. They never really necessarily work for someone. It seemed like they all or somebody starts a business. So what made you just say, I'm gonna really get a business out of this?
Well, I blame that. I say blame, but I blame that on my dad. He uh he set the tone for being an entrepreneur. He's been a business owner since forever. So that kind of planted that seed long, long ago that you can do this yourself. You don't have to check in or clock in. You can do this yourself. So that really planted the seed years ago before I even thought about it. But with chiropractic, typically, once we get out, so just to back up a little bit, chiropractor, like what is that? Who are we?
Right, right. Thank you.
um, we are national board certified. We have 4 separate national boards we have to pass in order to even get licensed. So we're national board certified, licensed primary care doctors. So a lot of people think that, oh, I need to get a referral to see a chiropractor, or, oh, I got to see my primary first, or whatever. But no, you can, just like you go to urgent care or patient first, you can just see a chiropractor. You know, so we're licensed, certified, and we are doctors. I've had people say, oh, did you go to school for that? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I went to school for that. Did quite a bit. So when you get your bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree, which mine, I just was a pre-med track anyway, so I was set up for the next step. And then we do another 4 years in chiropractic school, which specializes. And so we're starting out on the ground. It's over 4,000 clinical lab hours. Like it's very rigorous. I'm glad I'm out. I'm glad it's done. But we do 4 years of undergrad and then another 4 years. And then you get out, pass your boards, license, boom, doctor. So we have lots and lots of training, like manual training, how to find stuff, what to do, all that. It's not as simple as it may seem. I've had people say, oh, it just looks so easy. And I guess that's a compliment because yeah, it does look easy if you're looking, but it's a lot that goes into it. So anyway, back to your question. So once I got out of school, I was shadowing under another chiropractor who was out and already in practice. And so once you do that, I think I did a year. And then after that, I was ready. I was like, okay, I can do this.
Wow.
I think I can do this. So you just kind of branch off into your own. You won't find us in hospitals per se, but mostly private practice, or
Right,
sometimes working together. You may find a couple in one practice or something
right.
like that. And sometimes there are integrated practices where you will have
Mhm.
a physical therapist, a medical doctor, and a chiropractor. So yeah, we're around.
That's good stuff, man. And so what a lot of people don't realize that how chiropractic care really is a vital part of which my focus is mental health.
Hmm.
Um, Physical health and mental health, they transition into one another or feed or complement one another, but sometimes we don't really see it in that way. And the one thing I love about chiropractic care is that it is a holistic approach. Correct me if I'm wrong. Holistic approach to fixing a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Um, I remember, so real quickly for those that are watching, I suffered with sciatica pain, nerve pain that was so painful, extremely painful, man. It brought me to tears. I had to walk with a cane, and I had to get cortisone shots, and I went to the ER 3 times. They didn't work. The pain was excruciating. And then I ended up at a chiropractor that started helping me. And make a long story short, I ended up with Dr. Thomas here, which kind of like I've been now for 2 months, maybe 2 months of getting chiropractic care. And you're going to talk about the terms, but the adjustments and pinpointing areas that were just messed up in pain. You begin to work in those areas, man. I tell you, and I feel so much better because when you're in so much pain like that, it impacts your mental health. You can't focus, you can't concentrate, you're agonizing all the time. So chiropractic care for me means better mental health, better awareness. I can focus. I don't have headaches. I'm not just, I can't sleep any, I'm not experiencing those things anymore. And so, as I mentioned before, when we got on, and maybe we could touch on that a little bit, that every nerve in our body is connected to the spine. Uh, I think sometimes we think chiropractic is for the back, but is the back and the spine? I mean, it's 2 different things, but I guess you can kind of talk about the difference, or are they the same? The back and then that whole connecting with all the nerves to the spine, because you all do work on spines, and it's such a relief. So let's talk about how mental and physical, how chiropractic care overall can really improve our mental health, and then our holistic approach to better living.
Okay. And thank you for everything that you just said. I'm glad you brought up headaches and sciatica and how everything is connected. And I'm tearing up because you just make me so proud. I mean, you said everything that you should have said, the terms, adjustment, you got it. So it makes me feel like a proud mama. Like, yes, you've been listening. Yes. Um, so that's fantastic. That really warms my heart because sometimes you say a lot, but you don't know if it's really sticking or not. So the spine and the back, the spinal cord and the back. So your spine is in your back,
Right.
but the spine itself is specifically talking about the bones that make up your spinal cord. When you watch the movies or see a skeleton, the bones, that is your spine. Your spinal cord is an extension of your brain. It's a cord that hangs down from the brain and it's in a canal that runs down the spine. So it's near the same place. It's all in there in your back, but the spinal cord and the spine are two different things. The spine is the bones.
Right.
The spinal cord is the actual extension from the brain. And so chiropractic care, it's a profession where we focus on finding, treating spinal misalignments. The term is vertebral subluxation. Those are fancy terms to say a spinal misalignment. So the spine can move and it's supposed to move. We're supposed to have flexibility, be able to bend and twist, but sometimes those bones move, they get stuck out of place. And that's where you have issues when their misalignment occurs. Because when you have a misalignment in your spine, when the bones are not lined up like they should be, that can lead to a lot of things that people are self medicating for, or taking a leave every day, or getting surgery for, or just doing a lot of things for where it's not helping, it's just covering it up. So, headaches, that's one thing. But a misalignment in your spine does not always lead to pain. It could be indigestion, it could
Okay.
be ringing in your ear, it could be like numbness, it could be a tingling sensation, it could be a decreased smell, it could be a lot of things. So, when you have these misalignments in your spine, it's creating a disturbance to your circuit board, to the computer of your body, which is your nervous system, your central nervous system, your brain, and your spinal cord. Your brain controls everything. Nothing happens unless your brain first tells it to do so. Picking up your mug, blinking, breathing, all of that is controlled by your brain. And a lot of things are not conscious thoughts, luckily, because if we went to sleep, we would all die because we're not saying, okay, breathe, okay, breathe. Some things are just automatic. Your brain
Right.
does that, but your brain is so important. It's up here, it's in your skull, completely
Right. Right.
alone. It doesn't move around and do things. It just sends the messages down your spinal cord to the rest of your body. So when you have a misalignment to the bones in your spine, that's disturbing that information. It's disturbing the signal from your brain to the rest of your body. So wherever that signal is going, it may not go through all the way, or
Mm.
it's telling your body to do the wrong thing because now there's something in the way. There's a
Right.
blockage. And so in my profession, I find places that are misaligned and I treat them by realigning them. And so when you do that, your body, it starts to heal itself. There's a saying in chiropractic, above, down, inside out, because God created the body. God heals the body. The body was perfectly designed to heal itself. However, some things that we do or things that happen to us, physical, chemical, emotional, whatever, those stressors prevent our nervous system from doing something 100%.
Right.
So when you realign those bones, you remove the interference, and those symptoms that have started to show up because your body is acting up, they start to go away. So chiropractic is just one of those things. I can't promise you that, everything is going to be perfect, but you're gonna see a lot of benefit. I don't think I've seen one person who hasn't. It's amazing. It's amazing, and this is all without surgery, without drugs, just dealing with what your body brings to me. Whatever you got going on is what we work with. Remove the interference, and then your body starts to heal itself.
So it starts, yeah. And now the other part about chiropractic care is some people say, oh, people shun it when it makes so much sense. Like what? Like
Yes,
when I recommend, hey, why don't you try chiropractic? Because I'll give my testimony. Yeah, my uncle went. Everybody has a story
yeah,
from somebody else,
yes,
and they neglect listening to the story of somebody right in front of them. Look, this is my story.
yes,
So we rather accept the pain rather than go to a chiropractor who is skilled and trained as a possibility for wholeness. I mean, this makes sense. And some people just rather endure the pain versus this, you know.
yes, and that is very true. And I've encountered that myself. And I think it's too good to be true. Have
Yeah,
you ever heard something that was just so simple? It just seemed too good to be true. Like, yeah, right. Like, nah, that's not gonna work for me. Or you're not telling the truth. Or and
yeah,
it's crazy because a lot of the stories that I hear from people, like you said, an aunt of an uncle or cousin of a cousin have these stories. And so my question is always, well, have you ever tried it? And the answer is
yeah,
always
yeah,
no.
yeah,
And or, well, your uncle, has he ever tried it? Well, no, he said that he heard, or, something like that.
yeah.
So my advice is, if you know for yourself, and I can tell you my experience for true versus someone who has not been themselves, hearing it from someone else who may or may have not been themselves, would you take advice from someone on the best pair of shoes to buy from someone who doesn't wear shoes?
Right, right, right.
Just why would you even listen to that? If I want a good pair of shoes, I'm not going to ask someone who doesn't wear shoes. So, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
That's what we do in essence. We just, oh no, I heard this, or I saw on TV, or so. And it is like some people just would rather deal with it than try the possibility. Personally, I don't care what it is. If someone was like, hey, stand on one leg and hold up this chicken foot and spin around 3 times and you'll feel better, it's worth a shot. You
yeah.
know, it's not taking anything from you. It's not surgery. It's not taking a pill. It's worth a shot. So, but that is true. It happens. It happens a lot.
And one of the worst pains, man, is back pain. I mean, man, that sciatica nerve, and everyone else, and I'm, talked about and made fun of it, but that's the most. I mean, I never experienced child labor,
Mm.
but that pain feels like. I mean, I hear mothers say, "Oh man, it's the worst thing ever," but man, sciatica nerve is so painful that it brought me to my tears. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't lay down, couldn't stand up. I had to kind of sleep there like almost like an alpha, like a W or something.
Uh-huh.
I had to kind of figure it out, and then chiropractic care, along with some physical therapy that did some stretching and some other back type of things. But chiropractic care is really that trained specific area of skill set. I mean, you all knew how. You know how to, and I'm amazed at how when I come in, you just can feel. You can touch an area and tell if it's swollen or if is it inflamed, if you will. And so it's just a benefit that really can, when you feel better, when your body is better, you feel better, and your mind is clearer. That's not a pain competes with our mind.
Absolutely.
It competes.
Absolutely.
Or competes with our peace.
Yes. I've seen many people who, are pretty much in tears, if not just really cry in front of me because they are just so moved that they don't have to deal with their pain anymore, that they don't have to do X, Y, and Z anymore. It's like too good to be true. They're just so grateful. They're so happy. It's an emotional thing. If you don't feel well,
it is emotional.
You're not going to process things properly because you don't feel well. Just being in a bad mood, there's research that shows it changes your body chemistry. It changes your body chemistry if you're angry, if you're depressed. It changes. So when you feel better, those things change. And actually, specifically, when you get an adjustment, because it's opening up those channels that are blocked, it's helping the body heal itself. It actually releases some hormones when you get an adjustment. So that adds to, that feeling of euphoria that you get, or this lightness, or just that good feeling that you get when you get an adjustment. And an adjustment is what it's called when you get the bones realigned to your spine. So one of those hormones is something called neurotensin. That's a hormone that your body makes. And what that does, it helps your body relax from nerve pain or like muscular pain, things like that. Also, oxytocin is another hormone that's released. That's like a feel good hormone, something that helps you, want to be social and lovable, like the cuddle hormone. You give somebody a good hug, and it does something. It's not just smoke and mirrors. It does things, and there are lots of people who can be, a testament to that. Because if you feel better, you're going to think clearer. You're going to be able to process things. You're going to do better at your job or whatever you're doing. It affects a whole lot. It affects a whole lot. And you don't realize how much of your back that you use until you're hurt. You don't realize how much of those muscles make a difference until you're hurt and you lean over to do something. You're like, you don't even realize it until something is hurt. So it makes a big difference. Just putting on your socks, simple things.
It does. And so I want to encourage people to really think about, we're talking about better living is really possible. It's possible. So some of our complaints can be resolved. I'm hurting, or I'm this, and my foot, my back. And another story, prior to you coming to you as a chiropractor years ago, I used to have these feelings of feeling nausea. And I was like, it just always will come. So I started going to the chiropractor, because when I looked on the chart and I saw how there was a nerve connected to the spine that dealt with that. And then the chiropractor, and when I was reading the manual, and I was like, wow. So that's what started making me go. I said, start hearing people say things. I had headaches, nausea, and my knees was always buckled. My knees were weak. And so started going to the chiropractor. I mean, I don't know what he's like. He worked magic that the nausea left, which was making me tired. Like, it was just, I was tired all the time. Then my knees, and I was having headaches. And when I started going, like in a matter of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe not even that long, I saw the difference. Like right away, I was like, I had energy, because it felt like where he explained it to me, oxygen is being blocked.
Yes.
It's oxygen. So you're not getting the maximum use of oxygen flowing through. So this tension makes you tired. It wears on your mind. So it was impacting so many things. So when I really started going, I said, oh my God. I mean, it was like unreal.
Yeah.
It was really unreal and that nauseous feeling, it left. I don't even know. He just started doing some things in the spinal area. I was like, man, I haven't felt that. I haven't felt that way since. Literally, that was a long time ago, and I was like, man, I feel so. I had it all the time. That's that feeling, like, make me feel not. And he did something. So, maybe talk about some of the areas. Like, I don't know that I don't have that chart, but you know how that chart you have in your office where it shows all every little thing is connected to how we could possibly feel negative, because it's
Yes.
connected to these little areas of the spines. The little, I don't know what you call them. What do you call those? Vertebrae, maybe.
The vertebrae.
Vertebrae.
That's the technical term for spine, but
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So if you think of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to.
go ahead.
So if you think of it, everything in your body is being controlled by your brain. We talked about that, right? So even your fingernails are not going to grow unless they're getting the proper information from your brain to do so. The correct hormones have to be released from your body to do so. That's not going to happen if your brain can't make that work. So everything you have is controlled by the nervous system. So if you just keep that in mind and just think, well, shoot, if everything is controlled by my brain, how does the brain make it do what it does? And that's through those connections, those nerves. They're nerves that branch off and go everywhere, to your fingertips, to your hair follicle. They're nerves that go everywhere. Now, of course, you got hormones in the bloodstream that are released that do things as well, but that's not going to work properly unless the body can make so, or the brain can tell it to. So when you have, let's say, sciatica, or well, sciatica, that's something that people hear. You hear that on TV. A lot of people know that back pain, sciatica. But when we talk about stiffness or headaches or ringing in your ears or
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
or um, indigestion, or you may used to be able to eat hot, spicy food, but now it's like, I can't digest it. I just feel funny now. Hormonal imbalances. It's all tied to, or it could all be tied to, the body not being able to control these things. If you can imagine a garden hose, say you're outside watering your plants and you got water coming out of your garden hose. If someone steps on it, the water is going to stop or greatly reduce, right? So when we have these misalignments in the bones of our spine, that's what it's doing to those impulses from your brain. It's diminishing them so that those impulses, they're not getting through at 100% anymore. And I don't know about you, but I want my impulses to get through. So if your impulse to your stomach
Yeah.
is, instead of 100%, now it's at 60%, you're still gonna be able to eat. Your stomach's gonna do things, but it's not getting 100%. So that leftover 40% that it's not getting, your stomach isn't gonna function properly. You're not gonna digest food like you used to. You're not gonna, produce the proper acids and things that make you digest food. So getting an adjustment or finding that place that's attached there, realigning it, takes that pressure off of that area, removes the blockage.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so now the impulse is able to get through, and that's where your body starts to heal itself. Because, I don't, like I said before, I wouldn't say, oh, I treat indigestion, oh, I treat headaches, because technically I don't. I find misalignments and I make sure that they're aligned. Your body does everything else, and the body is designed to heal itself if we remove the interference.
So you create an opportunity for our body to find its healing place, or natural healing element. Okay. So
Absolutely. We
that's
create
good.
an environment so that your body can do its thing. It has an innate ability to just fix stuff, to just heal things. But if there's something holding it back, it's not going to be able to do it. So when you remove those interferences, remove that blockage, remove that rotation of the bone because it's holding back the impulse from your brain, things are flowing now. Things are flowing, and then your body just just knows what to do. And a side effect to that is symptoms start to go away.
And you know what? That's so profound, because when I'm really thinking about it, I don't know the direct link to anxiety and the spine, but anxiety can be linked to misalignments, in the sense that it causes frustrations and other things that will create some anxiety, because it could.
Wow.
So there is a parallel, there is a link to it's. Do you kind of see where I'm going? There is a link to things, because it might not be linked directly, but as things progress, it is linked. Like depression, I know people who are struggling with pain in that back. There's now you're upset, you're angry, you're depressed because you can't do things, but it links back to, why not try an alignment that can free up that would eliminate this, help that feel better, and give you a brighter outlook, because you're not contending with those things. You're not contending with pain. So we could kind of get some organic, holistic approach to, you know, step 4 would be, you know what I mean? It'll kind of go into a happier or better living as possible, which we're talking about. So because when I was in my sciatica nerve pain and my back pain, man, I literally cried. I'm not even going to front. It was so much pain. I just then I had a headache because I was just stressed. And now when I dealt with it from the core, I'm like that's gone. So I'm not even experiencing any of that. So we got to kind of look at it how it can impact mental health.
Absolutely. And a lot of the depression too, as it relates to pain, is coming from, like you said, you can't do certain things, you feel bad, you're doing all that you know to do, you've gone to this doctor, you went to the ER, you've taken these pills, but nothing is working. So you feel helpless.
Yeah.
You feel, what else can I do? I'm doing everything that I can do and nothing is working. That can put you in a very
It does.
in a helpless place, a
It does.
dark place. If you feel that you're helpless, that's very difficult. That's a very difficult. So it does play a big part of that. And with what you're saying, as far as things being holistic and you dealing with the root of the issue, I'm glad you brought that up, because from a chiropractic standpoint, that is what I do. Instead of covering up your headaches with this pill, let's find out what's going on. Why are you getting them to start with? Because would you rather, taking a leave for the rest of your life forever, or spend a little extra time to figure out, okay, well, why am I getting these headaches anyway? Let's just fix that. That way we don't have to do any of these other things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like if you have a rock in your shoe, so say you're walking, you get a rock in your shoe. That's uncomfortable. So that would be an example of the headaches or back pain or, any kind of pain. You have a rock in your shoe, you're walking along and you're like, man, my foot hurts, so you go to place one. For the most part, they don't even touch your foot or look at it. They, listen to you and say, okay, well, take this. You go home, you take it. It might take the edge off, but you've still got a rock in your shoe, so it's not going to fix it. And then that's the medical standpoint of how to deal with pain, which is why there's an opioid crisis.
Yes.
It hasn't been dealt with properly. You just keep throwing pain pills at it, and then here we are. So that's the medical standpoint of how to deal with pain. The surgical standpoint would be, okay, well, let's cut a hole in your foot so the rock can fit. And, that way that place on your foot is gone. You don't have to worry about it. Can you imagine? Let's cut a hole in your foot so the rock can fit, and, then your shoe fits on, everything's fine. Well, the chiropractic standpoint is, let's take the rock out of your shoe.
Right.
And that way we don't have to do any of those other things. Figure out why your foot is hurting. Oh, there's a rock here. Let's move it. Get it out of there. And then everything's back to normal. It's just, and it's so simple that it's almost unbelievable.
It is. And let me make sure we're not saying chiropractic is the end all, because there are some, surgery is at times. So I want people to
Absolutely. And
surgery,
medication.
medication. So it does. But you know what I think we fail at in many cases? We fail at the investigative process. To we don't investigate maybe why, or kind of probe around some options on why. We just, because maybe look, my back is hurt, let me go get a pill. And then we don't realize that turns into a lot of money, possible pain medicine, liver damage. So it's a lot of things that if we just had some better information and try some possibilities that that could be less expensive but work as well as something else like chiropractic care. I know it worked for me because somebody, you know what, when it's funny, when you're experiencing really bad back pain, people always tell you about somebody who had back surgery. Yeah, my cousin had it. And so now it puts you, look at the stress that comes from that. And now I'm like, oh, now they planted a seed that I might have to get disc removed. And you got all these things in your head that stem from it. So that's anxiety. You're like, oh my God, you're fearful now. You're afraid to go to the doctor. So I'm not going to go to the doctor or anywhere because I don't want them to tell me what my friend's uncle had. And so it creates all these chain reactions in different directions of panic and worry. And the bottom line is we never go find out. We never investigate it. We just kind of already presuppose what it's going to be. And so let me just, you know what? And then, then it gets worse.
Yeah.
It starts going worse. It starts, I think now chiropractic care is on the rise of awareness because there's a lot of videos. There's a lot of things out where they highlighting the cracks, the noises. I watch videos of the guys like that, almost like a piano. And it's almost therapeutic to kind of to see people go, I don't know if you're aware, you see a lot of these famous chiropractors are on videos. They doing all kind of making the back sound like a band is playing. And people like that. So I guess that's like the sign of, I guess that's saying that it works, but what is that noise? Like when they crack, those are good. We like hearing it because it's a relief, but it's also even therapeutic to hear it. Like, it's like, so the louder, is that the better when you hear those cracks, or what is that?
No, not necessarily. As I tell my patients, don't get addicted to crack.
Okay, that's good. That's good right there.
So those videos, they're sensationalized, they're exciting, people like it. But what you may not realize is in those situations, they've got the little microphone on the person. So it's like overly dramatic, because if you're in a room with someone getting an adjustment, you may hear like a click if you're sitting a few chairs away or something. The person will probably hear it louder, but those videos make you think that, oh, it's filling up a room. It's not that dramatic.
You know what? That's true because mine never sounded that loud.
Yeah, it's not that dramatic, and that's pretty much for people who've never been and don't really know about it. They just like to see it. But it's, they've got the little microphones, and sometimes, the sound is overlaid when there wasn't really any sound anyway. Everybody does that, but those videos, just like on TV, when they break someone's neck, it's dramatic and they fall out and all that. It's a bit much, but sometimes you do hear pops and clicks, and that's a normal part of getting an adjustment. If you're getting a manual adjustment, meaning the chiropractor's using their hands, which I do. There are other ways of adjusting the spine. There are instruments that can be used. There are different ways to do it. And depending on the person, my youngest patient was like a few months old. My oldest was 96. So, everybody gets something different because if you have osteoporosis going on, you don't want to do too
Right.
much, so to speak. But yeah, if you get a manual adjustment, the chiropractor's using their hands, you will hear pop or click sometimes. Sometimes you won't. But whether you hear the pop or click or not, doesn't mean that, oh, this was a good one or this was a bad one. We get
Yeah.
used to it. We like it. It's like a, relief, but we're only talking about a few millimeters of movement.
Mm.
If you remember the model of the spine in the office, just a few millimeters of movement is enough to get something out of place and block the signals from the brain. So it's not really dramatic. We're
Okay,
not
I got you.
in
That's
inches.
good.
But sometimes, it's not as dramatic as TV makes it look or those videos.
Okay.
It would be sometimes, but not all the time.
Okay. And I like what you said, and that's kind of opened my mind up to it. I'm glad you said it, that depending on the person and the situation is not this, it might not be an adjustment that look like mine. It could be a different, so somebody 96
Right.
or an infant, they got different bone density.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be maybe as dramatic, but it'll be what is needed. So I'm glad you brought that up so people won't. So the skill set of a chiropractor is I guess is to apply what is necessary for each particular person,
Yeah.
but the outcomes generally are expected to be the same.
Yes. In the way that once you remove that
Yeah,
interference, your body is going to
yeah,
do its thing. So whatever
right.
you need to do, you're going to do it if you remove the interference out of the way. If you let it do what it needs to do,
That's
it's
good. That's really good. I saw a video recently of a guy who's an animal chiropractor,
hmm
and I was like, "What?" I mean, he did. I saw a dog,
hmm
then I saw a horse,
Yep. There's some that just do horses, it just, but yeah, animals have got spines too.
and
So
I didn't know that he did. He felt and he did something. And the horse, I guess it was his way of saying thank you. He was like, I mean, his tail was wagging. I was like, "Yo, this is getting way over my head now."
but isn't that amazing to see that and you see the animal's response
Yeah, you
right
see them respond like,
away?
"Wow,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
did."
yeah.
And I saw a newborn, a baby, or not maybe not a newborn, but maybe a few months, like something was small, and they felt, and it was something was blocking his breathing,
hmm
and he just felt and did something. Wasn't loud, it was gentle according,
Right.
and it was like the baby was better. And then I'm like, oh, this me receiving care really opened me up to see it now on the level, on other levels that I didn't really realize or expect. And then let me really be aware of it's needed for every part of our life, or even animal life, for breathing better posture. I mean, it's amazing. Headaches gone, backaches, nauseous is gone. You feel better. You can run. Man, this is. I mean, I'm just really I'm thankful for it, and I think it may be a best kept secret towards mental health.
Mm. It does seem that way, and I'm glad you brought that up about the baby. So when babies are born, a lot of the times, depending on how they're delivered,
Oh
typically
yeah,
at first, a lot of times, the force, like, it's kind of forceful. So a lot of schools of thought think that, your very first vertebral subluxation or misalignment
mm,
is at birth. If you can imagine, the babies can't even hold their own head up yet because those muscles haven't developed
right.
yet. The spine, it's not as strong yet, but yet we're using it and pulling and twisting and all that. So
That's
a
true.
lot of times with babies, colicky babies and things like that, that's what's going on. And it does seem like chiropractic is a best kept secret. It's becoming more popular now for a couple of reasons. One, all those videos that people are seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I want to try that. But also, I would like to believe that people are just they're informing themselves more. They're getting
Okay.
tired of, just getting pushed a pill for something that, people don't want to take them anymore. Like, I don't want to take a pain pill. I want to see if we can fix this. So people are educating themselves because all we know is what we find, what we research, and what we're told. And unfortunately, we rely on our providers to give us the information that we need. Why?
Hmm.
Because you went to school for it, so I'm listening to you, right? Right? I'm
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
doctor, you're the doctor. So if you say do this, that's what I'm going to do. And, you know, there just is not a lot of representation. There's not a lot of primary care physicians saying,
right.
oh, you should see a chiropractor. You don't hear that very
No,
often.
you don't. Not
Because
at all, really. Not that
right,
I've. I mean,
right. And in some cases, you will even be discouraged.
and I've had that.
Uh-huh.
I had them try to downplay it, but then I talked to a chiropractor who gave me the other side. I'm like, you know what? That makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's,
And I think that, you know, we're trained in what we do. So we know what we know. And a wise person would know that they don't know everything. And sometimes I think that sometimes people kind of feel like they know everything. So they'll tell you, oh, don't do that, don't do that. When the next question for me would be, well, have you done it? Because you can't tell me what you know about something if you don't know anything about it. I've had my own mother tell me that one of her primary cares years ago had was saying, "Oh no, don't see a chiropractor. They'll kill you or something like that." And I'm like, "Wow, that's interesting." So in medicine, we are very much reactive. Like a medical
right,
doctor,
right.
it's not so much focused on preventive stuff. It's, oh, this is happening, so now let's do this. There's not much preventive education going around in medical school as far as I'm aware. So there's not a whole lot they can tell you about certain things to keep this from happening. But once it does happen, oh, well, I'm trained in medicine, so that's what I'm gonna do. If that doesn't work, okay, we'll try physical therapy. If that doesn't work, okay, surgery. That's that's what they know. And so we can only tell people what we know, right? So sometimes it's just unfortunate because maybe the person who could have given you that nugget that would have saved you some time and pain, maybe they just didn't know. Who
Yeah,
knows? Or maybe
yeah.
they did know and they just were like, nah, I don't do it. Because chiropractic has been around since 1895.
Wow,
1895.
wow.
But up until maybe, I don't even know how many years, but it was looked at as like witchcraft, like, oh, who knows what they're doing? It's voodoo, that's crazy. That's not medicine. So I think a lot of that is still subconsciously in people's mind, like, I don't know what they do. I don't know about that. And then you get all the stories of people telling you, oh no, you gotta, my cousin had surgery, do surgery, or do this or do that. So it's just unfortunate because a lot of people are suffering and they don't have to. They don't have to.
Yeah, and that's really probably why I wanted to have this needless, needless suffering when there are so many possibilities or other options to a dilemma that we're facing in our body.
Hmm.
One thing I love about what you do, and I've seen other chiropractors, they do stuff with the hands, like fingers, like they adjust things. So, because from a mental health perspective, I deal with people with a lot of stress, but stress it hides out in joints. It
Hmm.
hides out in fingers, like the fingers and the feet and the backs and the lower calves and all those little joints that it hides out in. And then next thing you know, we're living and walking like the Tin Man, and we don't understand why. But what I noticed that you've done and the other kind, they do it. They work with fingers
Yes.
because you know some things can be like bad sprains. Some things that have been healed a certain way, chiropractors can feel and be like, okay, this needs to be this way, and just do a minute or two of doing something. It's like, oh, that feels better. Like the neck and like how you do my neck sometimes, man. It is you have worked some stuff out. The stressors that hide up in there that create less breathing potential and anxiety again because when you're not your best, you're
Hmm.
struggling and that struggle creates stress, anxiety. Then you get depressed. I heard a guy tell me one time, man, I'm so tired of being sick. He said, I'm tired. And I gave him some options, but he was just depressed and tired. But sometimes we just don't try the right things to help us. And I really want to promote chiropractic care because it has been a blessing to me. You have been a blessing to me. You get on me by drinking my water. So it's just not about spinal, because water helps. Taking in at least 3. I'm trying to get to 3. I really am. And not sitting on my wallet, which was, yeah, I didn't know that, man. And you know, so those kind of educational moments and conversations really help create better living as possible. I mean, it really is. And I want to be better mentally and also physically, emotionally, you know, overall. So I want to give you an opportunity because I want to promote what you do. I totally endorse it, totally promote it. I want to give you opportunity just to share your address, your name. So I'm gonna put it on the screen again, include it into the podcast link. But I want you to just share where you are and how you go about appointments or whatever, and location and so forth.
Okay, absolutely.
Or
So
if you have any specials, people like the little specials to try it out. So
absolutely. So I'm in Chesterfield County. I'm off of Midlothian Turnpike. I'm in a shopping center called Midlothian Center. The address is 235 Wadsworth Drive. It's a shopping center with a bunch of specialists over there, really. And the phone number is 804-807-3527. And you can call or you can go online. The website is Cairo VA. So not like Cairo in Egypt, but Cairo like chiropractic. CHIRO. V is in Victor, A is in Apple.com. And it's super simple. You can look at all the services and things. You can schedule on your phone. You don't have to have a fancy computer or anything. If you have questions, you can call. And, you know, I love it. I love it. I've seen some miracles happen. I've seen people at their worst. And then it's very rewarding. It's a very rewarding. And something else that you mentioned. Oh, shoot, I lost it. Something that you had just said that I want. So we're talking about, you know, misalignments and all those things and the spine not being in place. And some of you may be wondering, like, that sounds awful. Gosh, glad I don't have that, right? So what makes your spine misalign?
okay.
What can move a bone out of place? So, and none of us are immune to it. I get misalignments. I get adjusted still. It's a part of life at this point. So it can be something simple like that very being born, you know, that first twisting and pulling that could do some things with the neck and that just carry on. It could be a history of military service. Happy Veterans Day, by the way. Well, I'm a day late. It could be a car accident. It could be posture. It could be sports. It could be a fall. If you've ever fallen, that's enough to jiggle a bone out of place. If you've ever been in a car accident, that's enough to move something. So we're not immune to it because, again, it's only a few millimeters of movement. It doesn't take much to move it. The only way that you would know is if you get checked. I mean, that's really simple. Now, other than that, if it's been there for a while, you'll start having symptoms, and usually that's a good indicator as well. But nothing moves a bone but moving a bone. You mentioned physical therapy before, which is important.
Right.
Massage is fantastic, but nothing moves a bone other than moving a bone. And chiropractors, we're the only professionals that adjust the spine and move the bones. We're the only ones that realign it. So you can get the muscles strong around it. You can massage the muscles. You can do all those things, but nothing's going to move the bone but moving the bone.
Good point. That's good. Sometimes, and I'm gonna close on this and give you your last moment to say something, but ask people that I was in an accident and that sudden jolt. You feel good, but when I went to the doctor and I had a concussion, and I knew my thinking was off. Like I feel like I couldn't comprehend. Like I would hear people talk, but couldn't comprehend it. So it was like, man, what is going on? So the doctor said, well, you're in accident lately? I was like, yeah, I was. And they said I blanked out. He said, your mind goes through a shock, and it's like a rattle. And then he said, also your body goes through it, and your body jolted, which is your spine sometimes can, out of the tension of the situation, you could. So sometimes it's physical therapy that helps us to kind of have movement with it. But sometimes, like you said, chiropractic is maybe possibly the next thing to help realign, not just give you courage and to have mobility better and to try again, but also the spine has to be, like you, I guess, adjusted and because y'all are trained to spot when it's off through bad posture, through sitting on my wallet, through sleeping on hard mattresses. It's like it can really be out of alignment in so many ways, like a few, would you say, millimeters off, and we not know it. So I think, your training, not I think, I know your training and in this chiropractic care really is the best kept secret. But we want to bring awareness now that it doesn't have to be a secret anymore. It can really be a way of life, a way of going to get an adjustment until the adjustments, like I've learned, they are less.
Absolutely.
But, there's a process until it gets to as normal as it possibly can. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then after a while, it's just like we go, now it's monthly or week, it's depending on what it is. And then you can get back to normalcy with just a few visits, frequent, then spread out, right?
Absolutely. That's the goal. That is the goal. No one wants to have to go anywhere all the time,
Right.
but the goal is to correct the misalignments that are there, get you back to normal or as close to normal as possible or pre-accident, and then get you to a point where you can live your life again. You can be who you are, do what you want to do and feel good and not be, uptight and stressed and feeling bad. That's the goal.
Amen. Well, I think this was good today. Maybe we'll work on a part 2 where, I don't know, we come to your place and do an expo, a chiropractor expo, and kind of walk people through it. And because bottom line, we want to take away fears, apprehensions, and all these weird thoughts that we have towards chiropractic care, and realize that it's a God-given skill set and training that helps people possibly save money, experience greater mental health, and get back to normal living and just better living is possible mindset. So
Yes, and it's natural.
it's natural. That's good. It's
You're
natural.
not going to lose anything from giving it a shot. Unlike, surgery, once you have it, it's done. Whether it worked or not, it was done. So this isn't going to change. You're not going to lose anything from giving it a shot.
Amen. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And anything you want to close with before we?
Well, I think you summed it all up. I mean, you did a fantastic job. You've been listening. I'm just so blown away right now.
Okay. Well, I have an excellent teacher, so I might need to put this on my resume. Chiropractic care assistant.
Absolutely.
Spokesperson or chaplain or something. So, but I want to thank you for being on. Thank you for just doing what you do. Appreciate you. Appreciate all chiropractors. Give a shout out to this profession as it relates to mental health and wholeness. And thank you just for doing what you do. And thank you, everyone out there that's on here. We're going to share this video. We're going to make it, it's on YouTube and it's on Facebook, but we're going to continue to share the link. And I want to ask you all that are listening and that will see it, continue to share this. This is really educational. It's inspirational, but most importantly, it's transformational. Mm-hmm. And so this will be able to help people in so many ways. I vouch for it. I go to a chiropractor. Dr. Thomas is my chiropractor, and I can attest and give kudos to this profession, and the skill set has helped me in so many ways. So, Dr. Thomas, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And we'll be talking soon. Everyone, share this video. And this is how we change lives together. All right. God bless.
Thank you.
Right.